This is UMAR AHMED for IFL TV in association with MTK Global. Last interview of the fight week before Saturday night, save the best till last, with world-class trainer Dominic Ingle and world-class singer Dominic Ingle.
World-class singer. Mind you, there's a bit of competition now. I've got Eddie Hearn breathing close in America and Frank Warren, so I don't know if I've opened that up for them, because they're all getting a bit of confidence there and singing.
Yeah, Eddie Hearn did his karaoke the other night, and obviously Frank, it was a short song, but what did you think of the song?
Well, it's not too much. I thought Eddie did it, sang quite well, apart from when he did rapping bit, but the rest of it he sang all right. And Frank, well, he's having a dig really, weren't he?
But you've led the way in boxing singing.
Probably.
I think it's fair to say. Dom, Willie Hutchinson's moved down to £168. Why now?
He's for this fight. He's going to be obviously not. He's not going to be 168, but his next fight is going to be a title fight at 168. I think we've had the time to do it. He hasn't boxed for a good couple of months with a lockdown. He's had time to work on his weight, and for this fight, his weight's really good, and we're thinking that there's more opportunities. Real possibilities for him at 168. So speaking to his manager Shelley Finkel, we decided to finally take the plunge and move him down.
He's comfortable with it as well.
Yeah, I'm saying he's good. He's good on his way. He's 22 now. He's settled in Sheffield. Got married last year. He's settled now, and there's nothing making weight that when you're living in a strange town and all your family's in another place. It's a very lonely place. But he's living with his wife now. His family come down every now and again, keep him occupied. So it's a big big problem solved, really.
Obviously, your gym's always been busy, but Crawford-Brook and Kid Galahad are kind of the marquee names that everyone associates with the gym, especially now. But I do hear Liam and Willie's name getting mentioned a lot. It's good that them two are getting the recognition they deserve.
Yeah, Kil's 34 now, is he 34, I think? And we're talking about this Crawford fight. Hopefully that comes off. Galahad obviously back in the mix again for Josh Warrington. We're waiting for news on that. But Liam Williams has had this is probably the longest he's been out of the ring since boxing with me, 9 months. He's had a good run up until then. So he's back out. He's just seen something announced now where he's fighting in September, I think it is, or October. And so he's up there, and he's only 30, same age as Barry. Yeah. Kel's probably got one or two more fights, and then the names coming through will be obviously Liam Williams and Will Hutchinson. Barry's got a few more years left in him yet, but they're working their way up there, and I think Willie, another couple of fights, he'll be British champion and start making his way up through the rankings and get into bigger fights. Yeah,
I mean, at super middle, there was a very good fight between UMAR Sadiq and Lerone Richards. I think someone like Willie can be in with the likes of them next year, or even at the end of the year.
We've sparred, Shakan Pitters, we've sparred Lerone Richards, sparring, and you can't ever take anything away from that. For a real fight. So there's, you get an idea of where you need to be, but he needs a little bit more work on him, a little bit more experience. They're mature guys, good fighters. So, let's see what happens with them in that fight, and then see how they fare, and then see how we think we can match Willie up against them.
How special is he, Dom?
Yeah, he's good. I mean, he's obviously world amateur champion. He's quality. But it was just a case of getting used to the Ingle system, and where he trained before, the pieces weren't falling into place for him. And I think now he's realised, being in the gym around the good fighters like Crawford-Brook, Kid Galahad, Liam Williams, Robbie Davis, they draw off their experience, and it's made him more mature. So he's learning and realising what the big picture is now, and he's putting some good spars in, and he's learning how to negotiate the rounds and what he needs to do.
Okay, good to hear. Let's talk about Liam Williams' fight announced today, mandatory against Robinson. The chance for Liam to look special again. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think look, it's we've got this big thing going on with Dillian White at the minute, haven't we? Where should he have took the fight, should he not? The thing is with boxers, they're there to fight, and they want to fight, and they want to keep active. Sitting around for months on end or years on end and wasting time. Sometimes you just have to take the fights, and it keeps the boxing going. And Liam Williams, when he first came to me, I just said to him, look, just take any fight, what's thrown in front of you. It doesn't matter how good they are. If they're not that good, then you should be beating them in 4 rounds. So you still train 12, 16 weeks, for the fight of your life, and you demolish these kids. And look how he has in the last 12 to 15 months, from Mark Efron to Atlantis Fox, all these guys he's boxed, Mullinder, he's just steamrolled them, and that's because he's had continuity and carried on and trained instead of blowing up in between camps, having 3 and 4 months out. This is a part of his career where, since he's been with me, he's never really took his foot off the gas. And when I spoke to him about his career before that, what he did in between fights, he just wasted away sitting around doing nothing. So he hasn't got that kind. He didn't have that kind of time when he came to me. He had to get a bit of a move on, and he has done that. So, you know, we never look past anybody. We look to the next fight, and he's been training over the summer. He's had a couple of weeks out, but he's been training. He's in a good place. He sparred the other day with Mark Efron, who's coming up for a fight, and Mark's in terrific shape. He's improving under Michael Jennings. It was a good spar, and Mark was only 2 weeks away from a fight. Liam's, weeks away from a fight, and it was a good 8 rounds. So he said to me before, I'd never been able to do that, how I did it before. So because I've kept on it, I've managed to keep up with him. It was a good spar, competitive. And so it just shows you that this fight against Robinson, he'll be more than ready, and it's a case of doing a good job on this kid. We're still waiting for the world title fight challenge, but nothing's coming back with that. So let's forget it and just get the fights in front of us. Liam's well capable of beating this kid really, really well. Obviously, it's a big opportunity for Robinson, and you can never overlook him. And he's going to bring his best game, but Liam Williams is a hard man to beat at the moment.
Disappointed that Matchroom reportedly refused an offer for the Felix Cash fight?
Not really, because look, Felix Cash is not a bad kid. He's not on the same level as Liam Williams, and he's probably better he doesn't face Liam Williams, because it'd probably ruin him. Liam Williams will move on a little bit, and Felix will come behind him, and then maybe somewhere down the line they will fight. Maybe when Liam's on the way down and Felix is still rising, it might be more competitive, but at the minute I don't think Felix Cash, as good as he is, lives with Liam Williams, so it's probably a good move that he hasn't took the fight.
Okay. Kid Galahad, you said he's back in the mix with Josh Warren. Do you think that fight will happen, Dom?
Well, it is mandatory, and we've heard all these stories about Warrington trying to get unification fight and everything else, and maybe that was possible before the lockdown, but I think how boxing is now. And I think one of the selling points for Warrington is that he gets a big crowd, there's a big gate, it's lucrative. And I think that kind of changes the perspective on things when you haven't got a big crowd. And maybe it is not in so much of a rush now to do a unification fight, and maybe he's going to make the easiest fight for Warrington out there, easiest fight to make, which is with Galahad. We're both in England. There's no quarantine, there's none of, people travelling in, officials travelling. It can all be done in England, so fingers crossed we're going to hear something in the next couple of weeks what's happening with that.
That fight would sell as well because of the rematch.
Yeah, he'll sell. Warrington's fans are always poo-pooing it. Warrington doesn't want to take the fight again. I don't blame him, but I think whichever way he moves Warrington, he's going to be between a rock and a hard place. If he challenges the top guys, I think he's going to be in hard fights. If he goes over to America, and if he has to come back to Galahad, then it's still going to be a hard fight again. So.
Seen lots of reports that Kell Brook's been offered $1.5 million for this Crawford fight. What do you know, Dom?
Listen, I don't. Kell Brook manages himself. He does his own business. I train him. I've spoken to him today. He's in the gym training, and he just said to me the other day, the fight's close. But how many times have we seen that with fighters saying the fights are close and then nothing ever happens? So he's training. He's in a good place. He's within striking distance for that date. Let's put it that way. What you tend to find with Kell Brook is if he thinks he's got a fight in so many weeks' time, he will be a certain weight, to be able to make that date. And he's on his weight. He's good with his weight. He's training on a regular basis, I think. But until pen touches paper and the contract is signed, sealed and delivered, I think he won't really step it up. So there's talk at the minute, but it's not been confirmed to me. But he is training in the gym, yeah.
What makes you believe that Kell still could beat someone like Terence Crawford?
I'm looking at Terence Crawford's record today. He's 32, and I remember when he boxed Ricky Burns, and Ricky Burns is a good kid, and he only beat Ricky Burns, on a unanimous decision. For me to really take notice of fighters, I'd be looking at Crawford to be stopping people like Ricky Burns. If they're stopping Ricky Burns and the top flight fighters, then there's something to be worried about. But he's only beating them on points. All right, he beat Khan, but Khan was never going to be a match. So he's not a spring chicken. He's not 26, 27. He's 32. So that evens up the odds a little bit. I think the problem could be Kell making 147 again, having to travel. But his last fight, when he boxed in February, he made the weight dead easy, and he could have made 10.5 stone. And I think his mindset just changed. He was on the weight, he was good on the weight weeks before that last fight. So I don't think that's going to be an issue. So yeah, he's tough, Crawford, and it's an opportunity for Kell. that he could win. But we just have to see which Kell Brook turns up. That's the thing after getting past 30 years old. It's always what Kell Brook's going to turn up. Is it going to be the Kell Brook who knocked out Rabchenko? Is it going to be the Kell Brook who, didn't look so good against Zarafa? Or is it going to be the Kell Brook who beat, the last guy? So, whereas you need consistency.
Could be some massive fights for the gym though. Say Brook Crawford lands, Williams Andrade, Galahad Warrington rematch. Just still massive fights for yourself.
Yeah, I'm saying they're good fights. I mean, it's the bases are getting close to be loaded. It's just whether they come off. You can always, there's an old saying, don't count your chickens. That all the fights are possible, aren't they? And we'll welcome them fights. It's not. It's not a problem for us. We're used to the big fights, and so if it happens, we're gonna have a busy couple of months. But you just wish that they're going to be in front of the crowds. I mean, this is going to be my first fight on Saturday with Hutchinson, with no crowd. This is the first fight for me since the lockdown, and it's going to be a bit of a weird situation because you're used to the crowds. And you just want, when you look at everything what's going off in the world with people socialising in pubs and allowed to do certain things, you just makes you scratch your head why you can't have boxing. Everybody else is allowed to. I've been in the shopping centre here at Stratford. Some people are walking around with masks on, some people aren't walking around with masks on. It's a bit of a free for all, and you just think, well, there's a couple hundred walking around that place. Why can't they have crowds in boxing? So,
but you've got to wear a visor on Saturday night.
Is it a visor? I just thought it was going to be a mask. So
got the whole
is
thing.
It? Okay, well, we'll see.
Dom, let me get your take on the thing with Dillian Whyte. Let's just clear this up. So he tweeted you saying, Dom.
I don't know. I mean, I speak to Dillian all the time, and the thing is, there's so much tweets and social media can always be misinterpreted. So. There's nothing between me and Dillian. He's a good fighter, and you can't fault him for what he's done. And like I've said before, everybody is an expert on social media. At the end of the day, Dillian Whyte took a chance. He took a risk. He was winning the fight and he got caught, and that's boxing. But he's had so many setbacks in his career, but people fail to see he's always clawed himself back. And I had this conversation with somebody the other day. It might have even been you. What was a worse loss?
Joshua Ruiz or Whyte Povetkin.
And the worst loss was Ruiz and Anthony Joshua to Ruiz. But he came back and he beat him. And it's almost the same situation there. Povetkin is a very well schooled fighter, tough. He's top level. He's only lost to the best guys. So there's no disgrace there. What's happened with Dillian Whyte, it's just that you have to go back to the drawing board again and start again. Luckily, there's a rematch clause, and he'll get his chance. And if he does what Joshua did with Ruiz and went back to the drawing board and analysed everything and comes back and beats the guy, then it's another lesson learned. But it's a minor setback. So I don't read too much into stuff on social media. It's I tweet stuff and sometimes just walk away from it and let people talk about it. But I don't think there's an issue between me and Dillian Whyte at all.
Okay, listen, Dom Ingle, best of luck with Willie on Saturday night. We'll catch you after the fight. Do you want to just quickly plug Spotify links or any links to your song?
It's out there now. I mean, I've had the best plugin. I've had Eddie, singing the song. I've had you pushing him on it. So it's doing well at the minute. It's just on all my social media stuff. I've had some good responses from it. There's a lot more songs in the pipeline, not boxing related. I mean, that was a one-off fast car already. It was too good an opportunity to miss. But there's another 7 or 8 in the pipeline that's going to be released over the next couple of months. And keep your ears open.
Who else in boxing deserves a song?
There's a few, to be honest. There's a few songs. I mean, years ago, Naz did a song, and it actually got on top of the pops, and we'll have to dig it out somewhere. And it was quite funny. But there'll be somewhere. It's just what the inspiration is. If there's an inspiration for a song, I'm sure something will come up.
How are his boys, by the way? They've been training at the gym.
Yeah, Naz's lads are the great kids. I mean, Adam and Sammy, they're a bundle of fun, and they come in every day. And it's weird because obviously Naz came from a working class background and worked his way up to the riches where they've been born into it, and then they're coming back to Naz's hometown and mixing it up with us lot. But they fit in really well. And they love hearing stories about their dad, and they train well. They do train really well. So they'll be back in, after this weekend. They'll be back up in Sheffield training, and we just keep on and keep them moving, and build them up bit by bit.
Okay, listen, as I said, best of luck this Saturday with Willie, best of luck with Liam in a couple of weeks, and I'm sure we'll catch a word soon after the fight, alright?
Cheers.